Okay, I've given you 0 minutes to prepare,
All right.
except for the lipstick suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. I thought we'd call this Pillow Talk for the Ages.
All right.
You like that?
I like it, yeah.
Okay. Well, I've interviewed you many times
Yes,
in the upright position.
that's right. But now we're lounging.
And perhaps it's a lighter fare.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to talk about healing our inner children and whatnot. What should we talk about?
Well, I thought you had questions.
I'm supposed to have questions. And I thought as a default we would default into Sasha Stone's questions of his grandmama, which is where this came from. I was just, both of us were very charmed by that interview.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is fun. Let's do this. Let's do this on our backs here in a more intimate nature.
Yeah.
And you've had, what, decades, like maybe
Yeah.
6 or 7 of them with a full-on
Yeah.
potential dance.
Right. I've had, I only had one true love affair in which I didn't get married. But, you know, when you were born in 1939, if you were going to have sex, you got married. So that was the impetus for the first one. It lasted 10 years, but only because there was no divorce in my family, and I didn't want to be the one that began that whole cycle. But I ended up being the one that began that whole cycle. So after 10 years in my first marriage, I was divorced. I ended up being married 4 times, but I had one true love affair in the middle of that lasted 8 years, in which there was no marriage, but it was a commitment. And I think the thing that was freeing for me was that I didn't have a problem with getting married or getting divorced. Whatever seemed to work.
Right. Well, it got increasingly less dramatic as your ego dissolved.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. So.
All right. You can check off those. Let's move on to, I mean, I can't help but ask you. I mean, the bifurcation. Can we just or OG? I mean, we both watched
Right.
and listened to Oracle Girl this morning.
Right.
I'd love to hear your opinion, and I know it's a great pleasure that she's here now with us.
Absolutely. And what she represents in terms of the collective shift and how she expresses it. But fundamentally, what I got from this morning is what I teach, what we do together, which is that being on your own behalf ensures everything. This reality is a projection, and that doesn't minimize its impact or lessen its appeal or anything about it. It's just the nature of reality shows up in this way. And when you're on your own behalf, the idea of money or prosperity or a negative or a positive timeline actually falls away. The consideration is lessened by the vertical presence of being on your own behalf. Yeah. Yes. So and she points to that. It's like she will take on the obvious dynamics of what appears to be happening, whether it's the pandemic or the failing money system or whatever. But she always goes back to and points to your being on your own behalf, your true nature, your source connection.
Right.
All of that.
Right.
All of that is cause in the matter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing different language saying the same thing, and it just offers just more breadth of knowledge around it.
Right.
Your own healing abilities. That
Yes,
piece where she always says,
beautiful. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is an inside job, and from that inside job, we are available for connection to everyone that matches that frequency, which is who is always showing up. Who/what is always showing up is matching that frequency of who we're being to ourselves. Yeah. So waking up is important. Waking up out of an idea that I'm not good enough or I'm less than, and waking up into the full experience of I am what is, and this is the 3D manifestation of that.
And simply but challenging to most of us, that's all happening in the now. It's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Which would be many people's answer to this thing you just lobbed out.
Right.
It's all in the now, and even that might sound esoteric, but it's just simply not.
Well, that's just the way of it. If you just make if you recognize logically you've never been anywhere else, right? Everybody makes it into this kind of like what the beauty of Eckhart Tolle's, the power of now, right, is to acknowledge that's what's true. It's, one spiritual teacher says that the mind makes time of eternity. Right.
And it's the mind where we've been. I mean,
Yes.
I think people's understanding or experience or reference to what the now is more has to do with their thinking up in their head. So that's, I think,
Exactly
where
that.
that huge traveling has to happen.
That's right.
From, mind into the present moment.
Yep, exactly.
And that's really all it is.
Yep. And it's just a being here now. This is just like yeah, just acknowledging what's true. Bye-bye, Richard.
Richard the Builder.
Beautiful day.
He's got his hands up in reverie. That's
Yes.
what it's like over here in Maui. There's
That's
a
right.
fair bit of reverie.
A revelry.
Oh, revelry.
Yeah.
Reverie. It's not reverie like to revere something?
It's revelry, like to celebrate
To
something.
revel. So reverie isn't a word.
It may be. I think it's a good one.
I think we should get into that.
We've got that
I like
one.
both of them myself.
Yep, absolutely. It's both revelry and reverie. Yeah. Yeah, so this present moment is so clearly what's true. Only in your mind can you get taken out of it. And when you're not, when thinking becomes a function, it's only engaged when there's a function needed. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's 7 minutes and 52 seconds, which I dare say isn't enough. But I also have a low battery, so somewhere in between now and maybe 10 minutes from now.
Okay.
Although it hasn't given me that second low battery concern,
Okay.
so we're good to go.
All right.
Pillow talk for the ages
Yeah.
with my personal grandmama. So
That's right.
there.
Mama Polly.
Yeah. Or I was going to call you the amazing Polly, but that'd be two of you then.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. Questions, decades have gone by. I forget. He did three things, and I only remember the one, which was love/sex. But he had three ideas in mind. It's nice to start with something and then sort of go from there.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, these are amazing times. I'll just quote Charlie Ward here. I'll take the
Right.
opportunity.
Right.
And there's a reason he repeats that in every single
Yeah.
interview, because that's the greatest place to default, I think.
Well, I think that the amazing times aspect of it is maybe not to put polarity onto the circumstances in the world right now, but what's demanded the adjective of amazing times is that there is one planetary experience. Now, that's only true at one level, of course, but there's one apparent planetary experience. There are many individual experiences of that. Speaking of the pandemic and all of the mandates that have come down from that, so that there's a kind of sense of we're all in this together in a way maybe that only in the past war has created. Yeah. So but I also believe that the opening through technology into the kind of shared experience and access to connection has created a very dramatic and a true sense that there's a shift in reality.
Interesting, because we're aware of the global experience
That's right.
through this.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. Ultimately,
Absolutely.
it's the veils, the ugliness rises.
That's right.
Just to leave us.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens with an individual awakening experience. This is a collective awakening experience. It's one thing that Oracle Girl says often is that we see the ugliness because it's on its way out. And that's true in individual consciousness work, when you get in touch with your early wounding, because you're now ready to allow it to leave.
Yeah. And what a different shift! What a different shift in perspective that is, and such a crucial one. You know, I learned that from you. I used to say, you go through sort of cycles of saying particular things.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes to pass.
Right.
Yeah. So that was there for a while in my world, and boy, oh boy, to see something as the experience of it passing, especially when it's something that's not favored,
Right.
is, I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the nature of, and when she talks about the nature, what does she call it? Nature's world order? Nature's world order?
Yeah.
It's like that's the cyclic experience of that. Everything arising and falling away and re-arising. It's just, it's like breathing, you know. We have so many experiences of the true nature of reality, but they typically are overcome by the contraction from the mental need to control, which is motivated by fear. And the illusion that you actually could control anything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of nature's world order, I remember it was a fairly distinct experience during the beginning of the lockdown, wanting to just walk without any shoes on in the woods. Like
Yeah.
that just suddenly became something I was interested in doing. And luckily there's a empty lot next door, and there's where I went. And my dog's always barefoot, so we have a good experience together.
Right.
And then I would go to the woods up in Muckwell, and there was just so many people without their shoes on, and I just thought, was this always
Wow.
going on, or did I just fall into the same, you know? And then then you got to sort of ask, because I think it's a great question, where does that impulse come? Because it was something really is and was going on, was and is going on.
Exactly. That's right. And it is a kind of return to the body's knowing. You know, the idea of a body-mind unit through which we express through in this 3D reality is so important. And what the mind has done is that it's made that intuitive, bodily felt sense secondary to the rational analytic. And so we've lost touch with our connection, out of which arises true knowing.
The rational analytic and the thing chasing us.
Yes,
like,
right.
You know, I mean, yeah. Yeah, drop the experience of the now and run.
Right,
you know?
right.
Wow. Sweet. 13 minutes and 43 seconds.
All right.
Pillow talk for the ages. Now we're going to round it out. Oh, now something's beeping. Oh, maybe that was the video the whole time. This is my first phone video, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's perfectly fine. Yeah, we think we dressed wonderfully for it. I think
I
this
know.
color combination is
I think
just,
it's good.
off the charts.
Yeah.
Anything else? This is Polly Summerlin, by the way. She's kind of amazing. Yeah, left the ego a while back.
Yeah.
Now it's what? Pure joy and a little bit of stumbling around.
Yeah.
Due to the
yeah,
macular.
Yeah, the eyesight's not great. The vision is amazing. It's just a slightly different reality, which I am becoming very alert to the physical nature of my surroundings, and appreciating the limitations that they bring. You know, I often talk about, in regard to many different things, the power of limits, right? It's like in a body-mind unit, the power of limits might be described by your astrology or your human design, but it's what gives definition and specificity to the way you can contribute, to the way you can express, right? Which is just marvelous.
Beautiful. Thank you. I feel like I should top it off with a I mean, we have these cruddy American accents. I just feel. Oh well.
We should be speaking more clearly,
Yeah.
and with a little bit of an accent. I can only do a southern accent,
Which
which
I
is
like.
not appealing.
No, I like that little Texas thing that you have when you come back from visiting your family. Or friends, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think you have family there. All right. Well, the alarms are going.
Okay.
Good things are happening. Good
That's
things are
right.
coming to pass.
That's right. They're coming to pass. Yeah. It's been great hanging out with you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Okay. See you later.